Chance. Well, interesting video you decided to put on there. I'm gonna be hitting the start, stop, capture button on this video, as I'm gonna be listening to a few key things that you say. I'm gonna try to answer your questions. But before I get started, I do want to say I appreciate the effort that you're making as far as communication. So that I can appreciate. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here and look at some of your vid and come back and answer some of your questions. Okay, for the most part, man, you seem to be interested in Bro Trav. You seem to be interested in the folks he hangs out with on the board and in person, called the Eagles Disobey. But you're more so asking me, what do I know about Chance and Eagles Disobey? As far as what Eagles Disobey, as far as their my camera's freezing. Hang on. Okay, as far as what they know and what they do and what they practice, you're probably gonna have to ask them. But I tell you what I know about the Eagles Disobey board. I was sent a link to the Eagles Disobey board probably some years ago, probably about the same time you was. If I remember, there was also a link put on the Eagles, on the Body of Christ board, the old one, before it got erased. And I'm sure some other people may have found it through that link as well. But it's not a board that I frequent. I did create an account to talk on the board, and never did, because it was mostly big brains, guys much like yourself, who looks into the nuts and bolts of things. And then, but most of it was over my head, so I didn't talk on that board a whole hell of a lot. They are odd people. Most of them are. They do dabble in witchcraft. Some of them, as you yourself has. I'm finding more and more people on the net do dabble in the occult. It's almost like the net almost funnels people to that direction. So do I think it's a big deal? Probably not. Do I think you're reading too much into that? Hang on just a second. So anyway, I think that you're probably blown out of proportions about people keeping things in secret. I don't think that I really specifically try to keep anything secret about Bro Trav's whereabouts, what he seeks, what he looks into, what he learns. I think everybody's spiritual walk is a personal choice of their own. And I think a lot of people do things like that to become a well-rounded spiritual person in the end of the day. I think most people do experiment with other types of things, much as you yourself, I feel, have probably done. So, I'm not looking to lynch anybody for being a witch. And, as far as your witch practices yourself, like I was trying to tell you earlier, man, that's not really the reason that I wanted you off the board. It was more so about this gear that you get stuck in from time to time. But anyway, to answer your questions, I don't really know a whole lot about the Orb of Ages. I probably heard about it for the first time a couple of months ago. And then as far as what it is, I don't really put a lot of faith, man, in that type of stuff. Witchcraft and magic, I do think there's probably something to it. I think that goes without saying. If you're going to believe in the spiritual world to save the soul, I think you also have to believe in that other side of the coin. But as far as it, what part does it play, if they have powers, if at all, through that Orb of Ages? I'm quite sure, man, that whatever happens through that Orb of Ages is going to be what needs to happen. And it is going to be all in God's control. But I didn't spend a lot of time with the Orb of Ages trying to figure out all the workings. I'm not impressed with the pictures of the so-called whatever the act was that's on the Body of Christ, with the lady doing some fire stuff and throwing the orb into a bucket and stuff. To me, at some point it almost looks silly at the point. But most spiritual things do. If you're not in that gear, if it doesn't really mean anything to you personally, it kind of leaves you flat. And that's kind of where I was with the Orb of Age. Shit, I don't know. It might be a big deal at some point. It could be an important thing. I don't know. I'm just saying that to me, it really doesn't mean a whole lot. I'm gonna look a little more. I'm gonna look a little more at chance. I'm gonna look a little more to the YouTube and answer a few more of your questions. Okay, bro. I'm to the point where you're saying that I've always been like a reed in the wind. I disagree. I think I've been tolerant. I think I've been tolerant with you. I think I've been tolerant with everybody else on the board. I think if you're going to have spiritual talks and you're going to have spiritual growth, I think you have to be tolerant and let everybody find their own way in their own time. The reed in the wind was the first time I heard that was remarked through a post that Arrows put on there. And I'm sure to some it may seem that way. But, you know, I could have been an asshole and started running people off in the beginning or kicking and crying every time somebody said something that I didn't agree with. And then if I did, I would have been called a tyrant. So you can use the term reed in the wind if you like, but I just wanted to let you know that I don't see myself as that way at all. I do believe in giving everybody the time and the experiences they need to develop spiritually, whatever that's going to be. And if you were to cut down that sapling, when it's a sapling, it ain't never going to be a tree. You know what I mean? And that's how I feel the same way about people. You have to let people grow. You have to be tolerant, and there'll come a time when God's going to cut us all down in due process and due time, and that's His place, His job, not so much mine. Okay, I'm gonna check out a little more of your vid. Okay, now I'm to the part when you just said, if you've been deceitful with us, it's time to confess. Here's what I'm going to confess. It's not that I'm deceitful. It's just that I'm not going to blurt everybody's business about where I see them on other boards and so forth, and the things that they practice. I mean, everybody knows that Bro Trav looks into pretty much everything. That's how he learns. And you said yourself, he's taught you things. That's how he can do that, because he's not afraid to look. Neither am I afraid to look. And I think you have to be that way. But don't think that I was being deceitful just because I happen to know where the link is to the Eagles Display, which I probably frequent maybe less than 5 times a year. Because like I said, most of the stuff they talk about really doesn't mean a whole lot to me, because I don't understand most of the stuff they talk about. So it's not that I'm being deceitful about what friends of mine I may have frequent what boards they may frequent. I mean, there's probably a lot of us that goes to a lot of boards that a lot of people would not approve of. So it's not a question of being deceitful, man. It's just a question of respecting people's privacy and letting people go their own way. So it's not like me or Bet Chevy is showing you any signs that we're trying to be deceitful. I do think a lot of that comes from the ones and zeros phenomenon in the computer, man. You're looking through everything through ones and zeros, and you can't get a vibe for people, which is why I've been wanting to Skype with you this week in the first place. I think you're looking for stuff that just ain't there. Okay, I'm going to check out some more of your vid. Okay, bro, I just got to the part where you're trying to get to the bottom of a so-called conspiracy. You asked me what I know about the Eagles and a nest, and I just told you that. You asked me everything I know about Travis. Travis is an old friend of mine. We've been friends since I came on to the big tree many years ago. I struck a chord with him. Always felt a close personal chord with him. We are friends. As far as divulging to you what things he's into, as far as I will say on that, Trav looks at everything. I don't think there's anything that he's ever come to he didn't delve off into, mostly figure out to gain an understanding, and then move on to the next thing. That's how Bro works, and he's amassed a lot of knowledge. And I know you've looked into a lot of things, and you know, by the way, you told me one time you told somebody on the board that you were doing that to infiltrate, and I ain't buying it. I think you wanted to look at what you wanted to look at because that's where your interest was. I think you was driven to do it. It's just that I think that all of our interests are driven mostly by spirit to do to learn the things that we need to learn. What we do with those things, that's up to each individual. So as far as most of your vid, man, it's mostly about Trav, and you probably need a link, man, to have a talk with Trav. And he'll probably answer you most of these questions if you ask him. And you know, don't start acting like an ass like you do on the board when you start talking a bunch of cuss words and vile things. If you stay straight up and talk decent, he'll probably talk to you. He's always been that way to me, and sure, he probably will. I'm gonna check out a little more vid. I'm running close out of time. Okay, I'm almost out of time on this video, but I am going to make another video because this is a full 10 minutes already to now. But you did make a few marks about the Genesis and who the other person was on the board. I am going to address those things. But I'm gonna wrap this one up real quick and start a note.